The readings today speak of St. John the Baptist, St. John the Baptist, the one who was to come, the messenger of the covenant, and he was to prepare the way of the Lord, of course, as we reflect on during this Advent season. The Lord coming, who is to, and who will endure the day of his coming, and who will stand when he appears. For he is like the refiner's fire, or like the fuller's lye. And the Gospel speaks of the birth of St. John the Baptist and his circumcision, and all were wondering about the power of God and what this man was to be, St. John. St. John prepared the way of the Lord, the way of Jesus, and Jesus comes as a child, comes as a man, and he comes in this humble estate, and God becomes a man. And yet there is this preparation of St. John who is trying to stir the hearts of men to repentance and to prepare for the greatness of the one who is to come, the Messiah who is to come. And he showed it in his person, and he pointed him out, and he revered him, and set the example for all of us. This is how we are to approach the altar, to approach the Eucharist, to approach Jesus, to approach God, with this preparation, with this reverence, with all our adoration and love for God, and a holy life, a holy disposition. All of this is our preparation for coming before God, and how important it is, this reverence, which takes a lot of faith. It takes a whole lot of faith, because we look at the child and you don't see the divinity, the power, the things that happen in the Old Testament, where God on Mount Sinai would thunder and send earthquakes and fire and things that terrified the people. They didn't even want to go anywhere near or even hear the words of God. They were terrified of God. It's the same God today, and yet God doesn't want to terrify us or frighten us. He wants us to love him. He loves us, and he wants only that response, that love. But he couldn't get that out of the people of the Old Testament. But now, with the coming of Christ and the grace that he has sent into the world, we can love God, we can obey him, we can serve him. And this is our preparation to serve God, to love him and to obey him, and to see with the eyes of faith the presence of God in the child of Bethlehem, the presence of God in the Eucharist. This is our duty, is to this justice that we owe towards God, is this reverence, this obedience, this service, obedience to God. And we show our obedience to God very much in obedience to his human representatives, starting with our parents, our teachers, government officials, the police, our superiors, our employers, all those who are in charge. This obedience, if we're not obedient to our parents, we're not obedient to those who are in authority, we're not going to be obedient to God either. And we can fool ourselves and think that we can, I love God, I obey the commandments to the minimum extent. But will we really obey God? When it comes to all the many commandments that he gives us to obey, do we seek out his will and do we do it? Do we do the right thing? Do we honor God? Do we revere him? We show him the reverence and the respect that he deserves? We won't if we don't show reverence, an obedience to his earthly representatives. So that's the test for us. We're here to serve God. We're here to obey him. We're here to be docile and to obey his will, to seek it out and to put it into practice. This is what St. John the Baptist set us the example to do. And as we approach Christmas, as we look at the Christ child, we have that disposition of the Magi. We come on bended knee. We present our gifts. We come with a holy heart, a cleansed heart in confession, a cleansed heart in contrition, and a heart full of that gold, that love for God, full of love for God and let us make it grow, because that's what he looks for, especially that love for him and love for our neighbor. Make it strong and grow and big, and make our heart really expand with that love for God, and then we will truly please him, truly give him what he deserves and what he wants.
Fructum ventris tui,